So when you have one of these federal district judges in Washington, D.C., in Boston, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island, in Seattle, Washington, notice they're all left-wing kook cities, issuing a temporary restraining order or a temporary injunction for the whole country. It's a federal district judge, not a federal national judge, making them have more power, at least at the initial stage, than an appellate court that only oversees certain numbers of states. Isn't there a problem with that? Yes, there is. I've been talking about it, but more importantly, you have a couple of Supreme Court justices who have raised concerns about this in opinions they've written. Clarence Thomas, the leader in this regard, but Alito's mentioned it, Gorsuch has mentioned it, Kavanaugh's mentioned it. The Supreme Court needs to address this. A single federal district judge shouldn't be able to issue a nationwide anything. All right, let's make a radical move into another direction here. And that deals with this DOGE, D-O-G-E. This effort, led by Elon Musk and the people that he has working for him, honestly, is one of the most consequential efforts in my lifetime to get government under control. And we have this subterranean government. We have this government within a government that I've been talking about. And for the Democrats, they build it, they want it. For the establishment Republicans, I don't know if they even know it existed, but they contributed to it, but they don't defend it, at least not yet. The Democrats are defending every inch of this bureaucracy and every misspent penny. Why? Because to them it's not misspent. So you lose a few $1 trillion here and there. All this money is going towards, well, let's say first what it's not going towards. The Constitution, limited government, morality, faith, family. Notice, you're not seeing any of that being funded by this subterranean government. Now, what you're saying is transgender operations in Botswana or whatever the hell's going on, circumcision in Mozambique, condoms, maybe condominiums too, condoms and God knows what. You're just seeing massive abuses. And then the latest one is 4.7 trillion. Think about that. It's not billion, we're trillion, not 1 trillion, $4.7 trillion spent by the Treasury Department, one of the premier cabinet agencies, but you expect to know what it's doing, going out the door without any ability to really know where it's going or what it's going for. $4.7 trillion. $50 to $100 billion a year in Social Security going to addresses, that is, individuals who don't have Social Security numbers, going to people who are dead, going to people who never existed, $50 to $100 billion a year. And this program's going broke, according to the trustees of Social Security and Medicare. And so they point this out, which will go a long way in helping to save Social Security, wouldn't it? If we can get that money back, or at least stop the hemorrhaging. You look at things like that. The EPA, the last few months of the Biden regime, and right up until the week before Donald Trump took his oath of office. Lee Zeldin has made the point they pushed out over $20 billion. We don't know how much it is. It's more than that. We're tracking it down now. They pushed it out of a slush fund they had at a bank. $20 billion slush fund the EPA has at a bank. They pushed the money out to all these radical left-wing groups with their radical left-wing agendas. $20 billion. And the Democrats are busy protesting the fact that Elon Musk and a bunch of 22-year-olds, they like to say, those 22-year-olds, those are the people who fight our wars, by the way. And I know it's a party that's used to, a demented president who was too old, or really a demented speaker who's almost 90 years old. I have no problem against old people, but they apparently have a problem against 22-year-olds. These are the 22-year-old super whiz kids who understand algorithms, who understand all kinds of technologies that a lot of us don't understand, and they're brought in, and they're from the top schools in the country, the top industries in the country. They're digging in. This is exactly what we need. They're digging in, and they're saying, whoa. They don't have a real payment process in place as they go in and they find out what's going on. So what do? They are confronted immediately with Democrat attorneys general, with public union bosses, with radical leftists who are bringing suit after suit after suit, almost, as of this count, 100 lawsuits in cherry-picked communities. That is, heavy Democrat communities with Democrat federal district judges who in most cases are giving them what they want to slow down the progress, to kill the momentum, to stop them from looking at the data, looking at the record. One judge, Chunkin, who I cannot stand, but kudos to her in one decision, they sought a temporary restraining order, which would eventually lead to a temporary injunction, which would eventually lead to an order stopping them altogether in DOGE and in the Trump administration, where they said, look, these people are collecting information. They might do this, they might do this, they might do this. And she said, finally, Chunkin for once said, they might do this isn't good enough. A temporary restraining order is for an immediate emergency to stop something that's actually taking place. Everything you're saying is a hypothetical. Wow. Because she knew she'd be overturned on appeal. At some point, the Supreme Court's going to have to get involved in this. But we still have a judge that says that can't get access to all the information at Treasury. And so you have this cabal of radical left-wing judges, which is really a super legislature. The courts, the district courts at the trial level become a super legislature, a Politburo, if you will, where you have judges giving their personal opinions and making decisions based on that. They keep talking about the Constitution. What part of the Constitution are they talking about? The Constitution doesn't give them any help. They don't cite any federal law that prevents the executive branch from auditing the executive branch from looking at the executive branch's data, the executive branch from deciding whether to give severance pay to its employees or not, or whether to fire certain employees, or whether to restructure the bureaucracy. It's the executive branch taking care of the executive branch. No. It's the courts that are out of their lane and out of control. It's Congress that's out of its lane, at least the Democrats in Congress, and out of control. And of course, the media are part of the problem. They like this subterranean government within a government. And that's what's going on. These people are able to save us maybe $1 trillion or more just by doing the right thing in a way that doesn't even affect you, that you wouldn't even know about. And so the engagement has begun. So in addition to trying to identify what's taking place in these departments and these agencies, which some of the courts are blocking, they're actually trying to do something about it, like U.S. aid, and the court steps in there. We even have a federal judge, a so-called Republican. His name is John Bates. Never liked this guy. He was very much a rhino, who ordered the HHS and the CDC to put language back on their websites that they had taken down. You have a judge telling the executive branch, in this case the department, HHS, what to put on its website? That is crazy. And they're all involved in these activities completely out of control. This is a nonviolent insurrection. That's what it is. This is a coup. This is, as I said, effectively a Politburo of federal judges. What are federal judges? What are they? They're lawyers. Okay. How do they get their job? They elected? No. They know somebody. And a president decides to nominate a person based on recommendations from the legal community, political recommendations. They look at the resume, they look at who they've contributed to, they make a proposal. That is, they make a nomination to Congress, and the Senate gets to give its advice, its consent, or to turn it down. These are nobodies. These are lawyers in black robes. Imperfect human beings, some of them ideologues, and some of them very aggressive ideologues that were pushed through in the Biden administration with the help of people like Lindsey Graham. I think anybody the president nominates ought to have the present. Shut up, Lindsey. Just shut up. Lindsey Graham's busy with his rubber stamp when it comes to these Democrat nominees. Anyway, he's one of many. And so these judges are on there. And they get to make a decision about all this stuff. Maybe there's 800 of them, these federal district judges, something like that, give or take, in the whole country. Now, there's one other thing, a footnote to this, but it's very important. Temporary restraining order, temporary injunction, whatever. They're called federal district judges. Does anybody know why they're called federal district judges? Because they're judges within a federal judicial district. It's created by Congress. Why? Because these judges don't exist in our Constitution. Congress has to create them. They pass what's called these judiciary acts. These federal districts And how many federal district judges will be in each district is determined by Congress. Then you have circuit courts for certain states that oversee these federal districts when it comes to an appeal. So when you have one of these federal district judges in Washington, D.C., in Boston, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island, in Seattle, Washington, notice they're all left-wing kook cities run by Democrats, issuing a temporary restraining order or a temporary injunction for the whole country. What? It's a federal district judge, not a federal national judge. For the whole country. Making them have more power, at least at the initial stage, than an appellate court that only oversees certain numbers of states. Isn't there a problem with that? Yes, there is. I've been talking about it, but more importantly, you have a couple of Supreme Court justices who have raised concerns about this in opinions they've written. Clarence Thomas, the leader in this regard, but Alito's mentioned it, Gorsuch has mentioned it, others, Kavanaugh's mentioned it. The Supreme Court needs to address this. A single federal district judge shouldn't be able to issue a nationwide anything. Anything. But that's what they're doing. So in addition to stepping into areas where they have absolutely no authority as a federal judge, they're issuing rulings that are nationwide where they also have absolutely no authority. So who is it that's violating the Constitution? Where's the constitutional crisis? It's in our federal judiciary right now. You ever see on TV, I'm sure you have, where Xi has a big meeting, maybe once every certain number of years, and these massive buildings, they're filled up in the auditorium, and they all vote the same way and say the same thing and so forth. And these are the people effectively who run the country of communist China. Well, imagine these federal judges all together in a room, in a big room that could fit, say, 800 of them, making decisions about how to run the country, because effectively that's what they're doing. They have absolutely no role in any of this.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.